If
I
we
know.
don't get to have an
Yeah.
opportunity where I'm if that is in game, I'm telling you now, I'm picking Cap day
Hmm.
one. I'm picking Cap day one if you're Iron Man because it's going to be both of us building up our ults and just going. Eesh. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Alternate Reality on YouTube. I am Chewburger84, and ladies and gents, you've heard this voice before, but you've never seen the face. I was shocked to know that he actually has a face, ladies and gents.
I
Pika,
do.
welcome back, buddy.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Mate, I'm amped. I'm really excited that we're about to go back into Avengers beta weekend number 2. I was on vacation during week 1, but snuck in quite a few hours anyway, much to the wife's chagrin. But I'm looking forward to playing a bit more with you guys this weekend.
Yeah, I can't wait. It was a great first weekend, and I think now that we have a couple days under our belt, we're gonna have even more fun this next go round.
Yeah, absolutely. And then even more fun when it comes out, we've got that full raft of characters. So what we're going to talk about today, folks, is we're going to go through the full PS4 first weekend. We're going to do this again next week after we've basically played a little bit more with max level tunes, tested out a couple of different builds. I'm going to talk a little bit about PS4 versus PC because I'm an idiot and I've bought copies on both. So we're going to see how that goes. So let's talk about performance first, man. So are you on a PS4 or a PS4 Pro?
PS4. I'm still kicking the older machine.
Yeah, okay. And how did it run for you?
I didn't really have many problems at all. I think it dropped me from game maybe once, and I had to restart. But other than that, it was smooth sailing.
Yeah, right. I had a few more. I had 3 where I had to actually turn off the console manually, like it literally just
Yeah,
froze. I had, I think it was 2 sort of blue screen errors, and then just a couple of ones where the missions just kind of dropped out, and I didn't get the rewards for it. So that was quite a few bugs, more than I would love to see when we're that close to the actual launch of the game. So I'm a little bit nervous on that, especially because I'm running it on the Pro, so it should be handling it.
interesting.
It should be handling it.
Yeah.
So that's why I bought the PC copy yesterday, because I'm like, I want to see how my PC rig holds up, and then talk to a couple of the guys we are teaming up with on Xbox as well to see, what they're up to.
Well, it
So
could be too. Just Sony servers are racist against Australians. I mean, you can never rule that out.
well, I mean, you got some good points there as well. So most of my experience on the weekend was in a hotel as well, because as I said, I was on vacation. I was in Dubai as well. So was there anything affecting like Dubai running through an Aussie server? Because my PlayStation is an
Yeah.
Australian PlayStation. I don't know if there's any of that. The PS servers are normally pretty good. It's normally things like, World of Warcraft, where if you're on an American server, it's a nightmare from here, but British is okay. So I don't
Sure.
think it's that, but it could be. Yeah, it definitely could be. Now, tell me, who was your favorite character throughout the whole experience?
Easy. I jumped into Iron Man quite early,
Yeah.
and I just fell in love with him. He was my guy from beginning to end. I probably should have played with some of the other characters a little bit more than I did. So that's the other reason why I'm excited for the next round of beta. But yeah, he was any game that lets me live vicariously through Tony Stark, I'm all in on.
Now, did
How
you
about you,
have
man?
more fun in his standard suit or when you went into ultimate mode with the Hulkbuster?
Oh, the Hulkbuster that was the great thing about him because
Mhm.
depending upon what you're in, it totally changed your gaming experience.
Yeah.
The Hulkbuster was fantastic and just slim and everything, but the freedom of being able to fly around and jump in and out of close combat with Iron Man was everything I wanted it to be.
Yeah. I actually much preferred his range combat than his melee, and
Hmm.
especially versus the Hulkbuster, because the Hulkbuster, it literally did make him feel more like Hulk than Iron Man, and it was that melee
Oh
feel.
yeah.
I mean, the power fist where you just, brrr, I mean, that move's
Hmm.
awesome. The big crash tackle. I do love the manual eject. I use that a lot more than I thought that I would. Where you basically hold down that L1 on the PS4 and it just stuns everyone around you. It was pretty great.
Yeah.
Like you sacrifice the ult, but what you can do to clean up afterwards with your crew was pretty awesome. So,
Well, and you just
um,
feel invincible in that giant suit. Like nothing
yeah.
can hurt you.
So I found, as far as being able to dodge things, Iron Man was by far the best. He was the most mobile on the
Yeah.
ground. He had the most diversity with skill set, so you could pivot from ranged to melee relatively easy. But the part that I like the most about Iron Man is that he felt the less clunky. So I found with a lot of the other characters, like you had to be really aiming in the right direction, even with auto targeting on, to kind of
Hmm.
land a melee hit. With Iron Man, as long as you kind of flew in the right direction, and that was my favorite part, is literally pop down, jump up, hit flight mode, jump across, punch someone in the face, charge up
Truly.
that thing, lasers, rockets, repulsors, and then rinse repeat. He
Yeah.
he felt the cleanest to me of the four characters by a long way, dude.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I think you could really see the range of his abilities pretty quickly. Now there is a learning curve to, especially figuring out that whole flying mechanic. It's
Yeah.
not something that I think comes like natively. It's not like, oh, I just put my hands on him and it's a dream. There's a little bit of getting used to it and kind of figuring it out and managing the camera and making sure that you're auto locking on your targets and things like that. But
Mm.
once you get the hang of him, he's a joy to play.
Oh, absolutely. Now, which tree did you spend most of your A points in and B time in for Iron Man?
Yeah, so first I went lasers and then I quickly pivoted into rockets,
Mhm.
and man, did that change his skill set.
Yeah.
One of the things I liked most was that you could tailor your kind of attack depending upon the enemies that you were facing. If you had a
Mm.
big bad boss guy, you could switch to your lasers and do some extra focus damage versus if you're taking out air targets and you have a bunch of smaller enemies, you can go to your missiles and just wipe
Yeah.
out a whole wave. So that was a ton of fun.
I tell you one thing I'm a little bit nervous about is that I think Iron Man, and it's probably just as well you can't have more than one. But I am worried when you get other range characters like Hawkeye, this might be an issue. It exposes like a lot of other older games, like what was it? What was that Villains Online game? I can't believe I'm forgetting the City of Heroes, City of Villains, right?
Mm,
And also DC Online, is that when you have super range characters, and I found this with Iron Man's missiles, you could sit back at ridiculous range, like just line up turrets and targets and just start firing,
yeah,
and the AI was
yeah,
so dumb it wouldn't come at you. So I am a
yeah.
little bit nervous that outside of instance missions, that could be a problem as far as
Yeah.
it not being enjoyable because you're just kind of going bang, 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 waiting on the
Hmm.
recharge. Nothing's firing back at you. So I'm hoping they clean that up a little bit just to give it a little bit more of a challenge on some missions. But
Yeah.
then again, maybe that's Iron Man's jam. Do you know what I mean? Like sit back, set that up, so then you could go in and kill the guys that perhaps you can't line of sight from a long way away.
Yeah, the enemy AI didn't seem that it was overly impressive. It wasn't
Mm,
like these guys were really countering you super well. It was pretty dumb AI for the beta missions, I think,
mm.
overall. I don't
Yeah,
know if
I
you
mean,
experienced that.
I'd agree with that for sure. I mean, it was literally the missions that felt difficult. It was basically because you were being zerged. Like you had so many things coming at
Definitely.
you at one time. That was where it seemed like that's where they were trying to get their difficulty. And I hope they don't
Yeah.
go like the original Destiny issues from many years ago, where their idea of difficulty is either significantly more enemies or B significantly more bullet sponge because that's not
Yeah.
fun. Like you want to be able to have things that you need to kite it the right way. You need to dodge at the right time. Otherwise, things can
Yeah.
kill you. But look, we won't know, I guess, until we get more of those boss fights because we only really had two
Yeah.
during this. We had Taskmaster and we had Abomination. How'd you find those fights?
They were great. They were a lot of fun. They were both. It's really interesting because you're a different main character for each of those boss fights, and seeing how
Yeah.
the fight developed was so different because of the skill set you were fighting with. So it was for a beta. It had so much in it, and quite frankly, a lot more than I was expecting
Mm.
to see. And so that was really exciting and makes me optimistic, more so than I already was, for this game to finally come.
Yeah, what was your favorite mission overall out of everything that you did? Because you finished all the missions, you got to the maximum level, but not the maximum gear, right? For Iron Man?
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So level 15, and I think his power level was 37 by
it's
the
good.
time the beta ended, which is pretty good. Um, that secret mission, man. That
Yeah.
secret mission was by far my favorite. All of the other ones felt a little um, sort of copycat in that it's just kind of
Mm.
straightforward and enemies, with the exception of that one big boss battle. But that secret mission where you had to face multiple waves and hit different unlock buttons at the right time and do that. That was different and refreshing, and it was interesting. And I can't wait to see what other types of missions they add in there. Hopefully, there's some variety. Which did you like the best?
It was the secret vault because I like the layers. I love the layers to get there. Like, it wasn't obvious, and a lot of us found it by accident. And then obviously, then people started releasing guides. So you had to go to one mission, and then when you flick up on the D-pad, and it says, "Okay, here's where all the little things you can interact with are." Like, there's an aim kill squad over here. There's a secret loot chest over there. You run away from everything in the opposite direction that it tells you. You just go exploring. I love the idea that they're encouraging that in this game. I just wonder how long that lasts, because eventually all of us are going to know where those things are. You run, you unlock that, you get the vault code, you bail out of that mission, go back to the main screen. There's a hidden thing now on the main screen. You hit that new plus icon, and then you get to go in this mission. So there was a lot about it that I liked. The mission itself, I think when they ramp up that difficulty and the fact that it encourages multiplayer, so you've got one or two guys playing spoilers, so these hack bots can't stop you from unlocking the vault. The other two are trying to get the new points, and the other people are just murdering things. So, yeah, I like the idea of where their raids might head if it does have mechanics like that, but we'll have to wait and see how they expand on that once the game actually launches with all the levels. And it'll be interesting to see how the different tunes change things too, because that vault mission, I did it twice. I found it felt a little bit flatter when I was playing it as Hulk, and I found it absolutely cruise mode when I played it as Iron Man, literally because you could just jump up, ignore the enemies even when playing solo, fly into the next room, cap the next vault point, run back. And Iron Man was amazing for that mobility. So I'd be curious to see whether you just end up assigning roles based on which character they are, whether you get stuck that way.
I think that's kind of going to be how this game works, because each of the characters' skill sets are so focused. I think you're naturally going to have roles that you fall into depending upon the character you're playing as. A classic example is we've been talking about Iron Man. He's going to be responsible for taking out a lot of the flying enemies just because of how quickly he's able to get around, get up, get down, and target multiple enemies in the air. Everybody has range attacks, but nobody quite does it with the efficiency that he does.
Oh, that's definitely true. At the moment, I think that we're going to find that maybe Thor's going to have a tree that fixes that. I think Spidey, to an extent, definitely will as well. And Hawkeye, for sure. I think he's going to be Mr. Aerial, Mr. Turret Killer, all those things. So I'm excited to see that.
So which character did you fall in love with?
So Iron Man was the one I leveled last. So fun fact, I got in early on the beta because obviously Australia is ahead on the time zone to you guys.
You bastard.
But apparently they forgot to turn it off for us as well. So our beta didn't end until yours did. So I played for a stupidly long time on that last day when I got home. It was my last day of vacation. And I got everyone to level 15. And I think everyone above level 30 on the gear stats. Insane. So I'm pretty good this weekend. Well, I'm a very efficient farmer when it comes to this. Like, I love just putting on like a podcast or something, turning my brain off and just going one after the other, right? And this game gives you that experience, like traditional MMO grind, very Destiny feel. Well, Destiny meets Anthem as far as the grind goes, but the good parts of Anthem, not the trash fire parts of Anthem.
Well, here's a question for you. So one of the best things I loved about Destiny and Anthem is kind of having a little bit of that open world feel and being able to travel, just naturally region from region. That really, at least in the beta, we didn't have that experience. And I'm wondering if that's going to be kind of a missing piece to this game that it doesn't have, because it's really not an open world style game.
So I'll probably say with Destiny that later on that goes away because the environments aren't as big as you think they are. There's a lot of like waypoint travel, so you do tend to skip a bit of that. Anthem, it was the same idea. Like, even though the world was there, for a long time, you did the exploring at the start, but then you kind of realized where everything was. So you did waypoint hopping anyway. So I think these games become about like efficient grind, having the ability to explore when you want to. I think the missions are big enough. Like you probably found it when you're on that mission trying to find the secret vault. that how far you could run in the opposite direction. I think it's a lot more open world than we think it is. It's just where the mission is actually taking place. If you want to stay on mission, that feels a bit smaller. So I think it's better than Destiny as far as open world goes, but I don't think it was as open as Anthem felt, where you could literally fly from one end of the world to the other if you chose to. As boring as that was, though.
Yeah.
As far as my favorite character goes, so I started off with Widow, then I went to Hulk, then Miss Marvel, and then Iron Man. So Iron Man, I did fall in love with his missiles, for sure. Like, that was definitely the playstyle that appealed to me the most. But second, surprisingly, because she's my least favorite lore-wise, it was actually Miss Marvel. She was incredibly effective in combat, and her flavor felt good. Her animations were quite great as well. She has a mechanic where you kind of hold down block at the right time, and she'll kind of like weave and bend around incoming attacks, and then can kind of pivot straight back and smash and stun things. When you upgrade her mechanics later on, she has the ability to kind of like spin around in a giant circle and stretch out. And when she goes into giant form, the amount of damage that does is absolutely ridiculous. So I really enjoyed her. Did you spend much time on her at all?
A little bit after I, spent some time with Iron Man, and really from the main sort of story missions, I feel like you get a good sense of her, and I thought they handled her really well. And I think you did it with her animations. That's not an easy character to animate with how things, are supposed to scale up and stretch and move. I thought they did a fantastic job kind of nailing that and making you really feel like, her fist was just giant size and swinging around. That was really cool to see them nail so cleanly. And I do think her dodge was very well executed. The one complaint I kind of had with the game overall was how difficult it was to counter and dodge. A lot of times you'd have like the little warning indicator that you were about to get hit, and you'd dodge or roll, and the enemy would track you perfectly and still hit you. And so I hope that they kind of are able to work that out a little bit, because I feel like the countering and the dodging was a little bit of a gameplay letdown this early in the beta.
So from playing all four characters, I think you're right, but it's about specific tunes. So I found that Iron Man was by far the easiest one to avoid things. And what's kind of crazy is that each character has a mechanic that's different too. So there's no sort of like push circle. You can do that, but I mean, you want to push different buttons for different characters for the evade, because it has different bonuses, right? So Iron Man, I actually found it really easy to counter with the missile counter, because you basically went that and then push triangle, and then you just sort of AoE cleared with that missile. It was really good. I found Hulk was by far the worst to be able to land that. I think his hitbox is a lot bigger than it seems to be. So I agree with you. With characters like him, it kind of felt like you were eating things and you're like, dude, I definitely evaded that. Like, I definitely pushed that at the right time. That should have been a perfect counter. And not only did you not evade at all, it hit you. So I found, in order of like that experience of what you had, I found Hulk was the worst. Widow as well, because she has this awesome mechanic, very Batman Spidey style, where she'll kind of whip across, kick someone in the face. But then you can do that at the perfect timing, and it should interrupt their ability as well. The animation time feels too long. Like, you actually feels like you should ignore that and do a dead roll instead. That one probably felt one of the worst. Miss Marvel felt real good on the counters and the evades, and Iron Man felt perfect. So I think there is a little bit of discrepancy, but then again, maybe that's the point. But having Widow as the least kind of, I think with her, the idea is keep moving rather than trying to do those perfect interrupts. But I'm sure it's
still into stealth. Yeah, and she can pop into stealth whenever she's in trouble, and that kind of mitigates a lot. I was super glad to hear from some of my other buddies who loved being Hulk, because I hated it. I'm so glad there's other people that enjoyed being on, so I don't have to be.
Oh man, Hulk! When you got the hang of him, he was a wrecking ball. The one part that I hated about Hulk, and I really hope that raids don't have jumping puzzles, because like when he can go from here to here, left and right, and there's a little bit of horizontal, he feels awesome. He feels very Hulk-like from Avengers 1, where you're off this skyscraper onto that one. That felt good. When there is just pure verticality and you just happen to go up, out of all three of them, he felt terrible. Iron Man, the
number
best.
of platforms I fell off of with Hulk. Oh my god, just
Same.
bad.
Yeah, Yeah, it's kind of like why, Wolverine always kind of got laughed at in the Avengers from time to time. Because, like, everyone else would be flying around shooting missiles and lasers, and he's going, come down here, bub. Just like clawing at the sky because he can't really get up there. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I definitely think that verticality is a problem for him. And maybe
yeah,
that's deliberate. We just don't know. But considering they hit
that could
so
be
many
a.
boxes up top, man, I'm a little bit
Mhm.
nervous for Hulk in that sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, Widow felt good. Widow feels like she has a couple of specs we've already been exposed to. So her ranged, it seems like when you're playing multiplayer, she can actually be really good by using her machine guns. All right, it's not how you want to play solo. But what happens is it fills up that stun meter really quick. So you can go in and just basically stun repeatedly, one after the other, so the rest of your team can go through and just rip them apart. So I think she does have a range build that's very specific. It's all about stun meter. And then if you spec for just melee damage, she's obviously just a monster as well. Both of
Yeah.
her abilities felt pretty good, other than her ult. I think Kamala was definitely my favorite as far as her full kit, like the embiggen, the massive, palm slap that she does out there. It seems like her support heal will be a tree down the track as well.
Yeah.
But then Hulk, yeah, I mean, that thunderclap was awesome whenever you got the chance to do that
The
sort of thing.
the thunderclap was pretty sweet, and I think too our opinions and perspectives might change a little bit once we have access to the other two skill trees because we only had the
Yeah.
one in the beta. So with there being a primary, a secondary, and like a an ultimate sort of mastery skill tree, I'm really anxious to see how those continue to round out the characters and what new things come to the table that maybe we haven't had a chance to get our hands on yet.
Yeah, I was pretty amped to see a lot of the interviews this last week since the beta sort of came out with the dev team and them talking
Mhm.
about how some of those trees are really going to sort of put you into specs. So there will be tanks, there will be support classes, there will be damage. And the fact that you can kind of save, like you said, 3 loadouts and then dance between the 3, because they were
Yeah.
saying that like you will need those multiple things. And then, of course, when it comes to the gear, we didn't really get too much experience with this in the beta because we won't get high enough in the gear to actually find them. But a lot of the specialized, customized gear for the individual tunes that you get right in the end game, they're saying that'll really open things up for specific specs as well. And that we will find
Interesting.
named artifacts. So there'll be things that might be, you might find like the Tesseract or something. You know what I mean? That has a very
Mhm.
specific bonus for a particular character that'll really open it up and change your gameplay style. So there's a lot of those
Oh,
little things that for progression, I'm really excited about, man, for the open game. And
there's so much to get excited about.
yeah, I mean, what are you the most looking forward to in the open game right now?
I really loved the story. I want to
Yeah.
see how that progresses. I want to see, I, Cap's dead, but I think we all know he's not actually
Yeah.
dead. I want to see how they tell that story. The sort of A-Day bridge demo
Mm.
storyline that they introduced was so well put
Yeah.
together and thought through and introduced all of the characters to you. I am really anxious to see how they carry that forward and keep telling that story.
Yeah, me too. And the fact that each of the individual characters they introduce over time, I do love the fact that they're going to have their own little story missions and story
Yep.
sequences. And when they bring out a new character, each of them is going to have that. And I think you were saying today that you read that they're planning on releasing a new character every month for 12 months. Is that right?
Yeah, so that's their initial plan is to have a new character released each month.
Mm.
So there's going to be, start naming your favorite character that you'd like to come see to the game because with a schedule like that, we're going to have some interesting characters and a lot of content to look forward to.
Yeah, we're gonna see if they do it in clusters of teams as well. Like, are we going to see like a
Yeah.
lot of Spider-Verse clustered together? I'm assuming probably not because of the exclusives with Sony. What was your thoughts on
Mhm.
that? On hearing that Spidey's only coming to PS4, PS5?
I can certainly understand the frustration for an Xbox or a PC player.
Mm,
The fact that there's content in the game that you don't have access to because of how you're playing the game doesn't feel great to me.
mm.
Um, as a PlayStation player, I'm very happy that
Yeah.
I will have access to them because I'd be pretty pissed if I didn't. But
Mhm.
I can also appreciate from the developer side that it's a Sony IP and they're the Sony platform, and
Yeah.
some things are kind of proprietary in that sense. So I can understand the business side. I wish that that didn't rear its ugly head quite so much in gaming as it does,
Yeah.
and can certainly understand the frustration from the player base.
Yeah, the real kick in the nuts for me is that whenever you have an exclusivity on one console, it usually rules out any hope we had of cross-play or cross-save, which I think a lot of us were hoping these games would just have in the next generation. But when you have
They did
exclusives,
talk about that.
yeah,
So
yeah,
the head game, he did talk about that. He said that they know, I don't remember his exact quote, but he said that with a game like this, they understand that crossplay is something that they have to deliver on. So
yeah.
I think we will see it eventually, but I don't think it's going to be at global launch or right around the corner. I think it's going to take a little bit of time, and probably once the PS5 is in market, we'll see that be rolled out.
Yeah, I mean, we're interested to see if there's like a timed exclusive deal. Like perhaps they haven't really
Yeah,
talked
for
about
sure.
that yet. Like it wouldn't surprise me if we sort of go, okay, well, Spider's exclusive here for X amount of months, maybe a year. Like, Horizon Zero Dawn was. That's now on PC as well. This is hope
Yeah.
it goes that way, man, because everyone wants to play
For sure.
Spidey, for sure.
Uh-huh.
So now you obviously Iron Man's the guy for you right now, but obviously there's Cap, there's Thor, we know there's Spidey, we know there's Hawkeye. Who are you planning on maining at this stage? Still Iron Man?
It's a good question. I would like to spend a little bit more time with Black Widow. I did enjoy her playstyle a little bit, and kind of having a couple characters that you can, jump into would be great. So that's kind of the direction I'm looking at.
Yeah, I think that's the way forward, man. So I think at the moment I kind of want to spend some more time with Thor. I liked. Oh man, it's hard because you had him for such a brief period of time. I'm looking forward to
I
going
feel like you
through
did
that
get a
again.
taste.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking forward to doing it again on PC, right? Because obviously I'm
Yeah.
kind of locked with my progress now. So I want to kind of mess around a bit before I know it's going to transition to the next character, because I like the idea of Thor, but I want to see those lightning trees. I think if it's all about the melee and the hammer, I'm a bit worried he might be a tad boring. For me, I just want to be like, the god of lightning and just smashing down at all times.
It makes so much sense.
Yeah, and if they don't do a bro Thor skin, I'm going to be so upset as a fluffy bearded man myself.
Oh, absolutely. They have to.
Yeah.
They just have to.
I will now.
And I'm really
Yeah.
good.
I was going to say I'm curious to to hear what you think about the stores. Did you have a chance to go through and see like the battle pass type system and the costumes?
I did see some of the costumes. I didn't see the battle pass, but some of the different skins that you can unlock looked really interesting, and they gave you a little bit of currency in the beta so that you could, if you wanted something, you could get it. And so I, of course, got the black matte sort of Iron Man skin, which was totally badass.
I look cool.
And enjoyed that. So I'll be interested to see the monetization model beyond just the box price for this game, because at the end of the day, this is a game as a service. So there's going to be some monetization associated with it. Is it simply going to be skins, or is there going to be another component to it in terms of resources that are, you can use to level up your gear more quickly? What does that kind of do to the competitive landscape of the game? There's still a lot of questions, I think, that the beta really won't be able to answer until the game is in market and we see the full view of it. But from a gameplay style, I'm still really excited. And from everything I've seen, I can't wait for this game to come out.
Yeah, and look, I think you're probably right. I think it's mainly going to be skins, and I think if they stick with that, that's definitely the way forward. I don't think we're going to see pay to win advantages. I think we're going to see maybe things like storage. Like storage are always like hot things for these. I've seen it in other Square Enix premium games before, where they have buy another 100 boxes. So maybe they're going that road. Now the battle pass thing, what my gut's telling me that's going to be is like a lot of games. If you just play the game for long enough, you'll unlock the things that you want for free. Like there's little challenges that you can do. Like it might be like for Widow, it was while in midair, use her attack special to spark a few guys out of the sky. And once you did that, that ticked that challenge. That unlocked the next thing on the battle pass, right? And the rest of it was just time spent, enemies killed, XP earned, blah blah blah. Now, what I think their strategy is going to be is that, let's say there's like a legendary costume this month that you can earn for free if you play the game enough. My gut tells me you're going to have to play quite a few hours to unlock that legendary costume for one character, and they might have legendary available for like all 5, 6 characters at the same time. So my gut tells me what they'll probably do is say, okay, you don't have enough time to go through and do all that. Here's a couple of bucks that you can spend and you can auto complete those instead. Or maybe there's a daily login experience that'll get you through that faster, or some kind of experience booster that gets you through the battle pass faster. So my gut tells me they'll use the old, fear of missing out type monetization strategy to make you go, oh man, I really want the Mr. Fix-It skin, but at the same time, I want Bro Thor. I need to have all these things at the once. So my gut tells me that's where it's going. And because it's only skins, I can 100% live with that.
Me too. I've got no problem with that. I want to make sure that we don't see something like, here's gold gear that you can buy instead of, finding it in a mission, stuff like that. As long as that isn't, sold or anything like that, I'm on board. Sell all the skins that you want all day, every day, go ham.
Yeah, I'll be real surprised if they do that. I think it would be a genuine mistake if they do. Because, I think that they want to encourage you to play multiple characters. And I think if you can just buy that, you might have people that can just play their one character for a couple hours a week, complete all their weekly stuff. And we see this in other games. Then they just log off until next Tuesday when all the resets happen, right? So I think if you have enough diversity,
For this game, do you see it more as okay, I'm going to max all of the characters, or is it more of I'm going to focus on 1 or 2 mains, and that's going to be how I, interact with this game?
Yeah, I think we need to see the full game to tell that tale. I do think, however, that this is a game where they really want you to level alternate characters. Because
I think so too.
Especially with that solo mechanic. Like, you and I are in different time zones. In fact, I'm in different time zones to most of our community as well. So there's a lot of time I spend playing by myself, waiting for you dudes to get online. So having that mechanic, and I really love this, that you can basically level up other characters and they become your teammates. So if you spec Missiles Iron Man and you spec, ranged Widow, they're the things that come with you. And I think that spec is going to be very important in the long term. So I think a minimum of 4 characters you are going to maximize, all of us. I think that'll absolutely happen. For the completionists, or realistically, I think most of us, because Marvel is just such an awesome universe, man. We all love it. We all love spending time in it, especially this version and these voice actors. I think I'm going to end up maxing everything, especially if you've got a month between. A month in an MMO, once you've kind of reached that end game, you do your raids, and you got a week of, what am I going to do now? And alts is usually that.
Yeah, and you max the beta in a weekend on vacation. I have no doubts you're going to max every character in this game in like a week and a half.
Well, we'll see. I think it'll depend on when they release the end-game content. So a lot of games like this, it'll come out and then it might be 3 weeks to a month before like the first end-game content comes in. So you can kind of farm as much currency as you possibly can for that end-game. But then it's really about like bringing up that next alt. And quite often, I will bring up characters very quickly at the start of a game, because I'm trying to find that sweet spot. Like, you might go, oh my God, I really love this character. And then you get into a team where you're playing with your mates and you realize, oh my God, they're dog shit. They're terrible. Like, they've got nothing. They're just hitting like a wet noodle. And so it's always disappointing when that happens. So the ability to change specs or characters at any time is very encouraging. Yeah, so no, I can't wait to jump back in it this weekend. We're going to talk about this a lot more next week. We're going to have obviously a lot more thoughts about each of the max characters and obviously gameplay improvements. I'll talk about PC versus PS4, but is there any final thoughts on this from you, mate?
The last thing I'm really looking forward to is the different player interactions and different character interactions. Hearing some of the rumors that once Cap's in the game, Iron Man can reflect his unibeam off Cap's shield and hit enemies. The thinking through in those different components and discovering what those are with your friends is some of the most fun you can have in a game like this. So I'm really excited to get back into it with you and kind of see what kind of mayhem and craziness and dumb shit we can all do together and have a
I
great time.
can't wait, man. If we
know.
don't get to have an opportunity where if that is in game, I'm telling you now, I'm picking Cap day one. I'm picking Cap day one if you're Iron Man, because it's going to be both of us building up our ults and just going, "Eesh." I want to see that. And then there needs to be a Thor Cap interaction as well, or a Thor Iron Man where he can charge them. I want to see that triumvirate of the big three. If that happens, dude, I'm so sold on this game for a year.
I want to see a Loki come to this game, and there has to be a get help. You know
Oh man, that'd be fun. That'd be really fun. And we know that they've got the ability to do it because of Hulk as well, or even Kamala, because you can pick other enemies up and then use them as a weapon. Kamala was really fun there, actually. Did you use any of her range spec at all?
Yeah, a little bit. It was a lot better than I was anticipating it to be. I was really impressed with it. Yeah,
because you could reach out, stretch, grab someone, use them to like knock everyone down like bowling
sway
pins.
back and forth. Yeah,
and then a little bit of like Vader choke as well. Like you could bring them in, then squeeze the giant hand and just like crush them in your hands. It was I liked it, man, a lot. So I can't wait to get into it this weekend. I've got no regrets about buying this game twice already. But I just want to see that comparison, man. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun this weekend for sure. Absolutely. And then you sent me one crazy clip during the week as well, which was awesome. Do you want to tell me about that, with the Hulkbuster?
Yeah, so not just Iron Man can get in the Hulkbuster, but there's footage of Hulk getting into the Hulkbuster, and they animated it. I mean, you can see Hulk and the different iron pieces on him. Like it was not a glitch. It was meant to be, and it was fantastic. So the more stuff that we see like that, it's just awesome.
Could you see how they did it? That's the one part of the video I didn't see, is how they actually set that up.
So you can call it, as Iron Man, you just call in your Hulkbuster and you put it, somewhere, locate it somewhere. And then the other person runs on top of it, holds square, and it spawns right onto them.
All right, we're going to have some fun with that this weekend, for sure. That's it. I want Iron Hulk, 100%. Iron Hulk is going to crush it. Awesome, man.
Your porn star name.
Iron Hulk? No, I've already got one. I'll link that in my OnlyFans below, which is not real. Don't go there. All right. Look, thank you very much for watching this, folks. And of course, if you have enjoyed your time here, make sure you hit that like, that subscribe, that notifications bell. This guy up here, this way, is Pika. He's one of our guys here at Alternate Reality. We're going to be doing a lot more team-up content going forward. We're branching out into a lot more games now, a lot more online stuff. Basically, we're going to have a lot more fun.